Farron, I saw a headline. The dumb Trump voters really are the dumb Trump voters. And you have to understand it, they actually did a poll. And they found out that really, I use the term low-hanging fruit, but this is amazing. Explain what I'm talking about here.
Well, the Washington Post has gone through, they've done the research, done all this polling, and they found out that the people who are supporting Donald Trump, the people responsible for the surge, really are the least educated of the Republican Party. Not necessarily about politics in general, but they don't have college degrees. Some of them didn't finish high school. They do not have any kind of specialized job training, no vocational school, no AA degrees. It really is the people who got halfway or all the way through high school and then ended their education.
Well, they sat in the back of the class from all through high school, just waiting for it to be over. But what I also thought was interesting, these are the people. It's really interesting. In the Midwest, they're Midwest conservatives, and they have the most negative view about Mexican immigrants. I mean, they just figured out, who are these people? What drives them? Mexican immigrants. They hate Mexican immigrants.
They do it. When you start to put all the pieces together, I guess it does make sense for these voters. These are the ones out there that are really buying into the anti-immigrant rhetoric of Donald Trump because they are the unskilled American workforce. They're not working as doctors or lawyers or financial planners. They are the people out there, construction workers, restaurant workers, jobs where you can just walk in and get the job. And I'm not trying to be insulting towards these people whatsoever. These are things that need to be done, but those are also the areas where companies will, if they can, hire undocumented workers to do the job for half price. So these are the people who are facing competition from immigrants because they don't have the education to get a better position.
So the point is not that they work in construction or labor or whatever it may be. The point is that they're the most at risk. And therefore, their reaction is the most severe.
And the risk is very, very small. I mean, we shouldn't think for a second that there's actually hordes of immigrants coming over and taking all these jobs. But these people live in that constant state of fear that the Republicans love to put them in, the fear that tomorrow they're going to show up for work and find out that a Mexican immigrant has been given that job. It's the fear that keeps these people on their toes and keeps them loyal to the party.
It's several kinds of fear. One is, I don't know if you've been following the latest talking point. Honest to God, the latest talking point is Ann Coulter came out with it last week that Mexican immigrants are going to rape your daughter. That was her talking point. And then if you follow virtually all of the really, the staunch Republican types, that has become their talking point. So it's not just fear. We're not just talking about the low-hanging fruit here. We're talking about people that know better, that are being moved by this fear. The Mexicans are coming to kill us on the streets. They'll flip over to the video, the story about the young lady that was murdered in cold blood by a Mexican immigrant. No question. I mean, that is true. But then they're taking that story and then they're piling on all the other things you ought to be afraid of with Mexican immigrants. And one of them now is the Mexican immigrant is coming here to take your job, rape your daughter, and kill you in the streets. That it's building. My point is, it's building. If you'll notice, it's building one level at a time.
One of the things that we could do, which is essentially Bernie Sanders' plan, is that if we had public education at the college level or the vocational school level or the trade school level that was free for all Americans, it could help to alleviate this problem. It wouldn't solve it, but it would solve a lot of problems, at least most of the way, because then these people wouldn't have to worry about losing these low-skilled jobs. There are plenty of openings in America right now for skilled laborers, jobs that undocumented immigrants or even legal immigrants are just incapable of coming over to this country and taking. But people in the Midwest, especially, are not afforded the opportunity to go to college or to go to a technical school and learn a trade to essentially better their lives. And so part of the problem is that they're being held down by this system that we live under.
But let's go back to the fear card, because that's what this is really about. Okay, the Republicans are on to something here. I've been saying it for weeks. They are on to something. If you'll notice the radio crazy talking heads, what are they talking about? They're talking about the drug cartels that are chopping people's heads off right over the border, that now they're coming to Southern California, they're coming to Southern Texas. They even have, they've got segments, HBO segments. One of them's called The Bridge, that if you watch it, you go, my God, the invasion is full tilt. We are under invasion by immigrants that want to build their drug cartels right here in the United States. We're going to find heads in the street like we're finding in Mexico. And so all of this is building level by level. It's not just about they're going to come take my jobs. That's where it started. And now it is evolving into this thing that's much, much bigger. And it's all about fear. I mean, Republicans scare easily. There's something about that mentality. Republicans, that especially lifelong Republicans, they scare easily. They're afraid of everything. They want to invade other countries because they're afraid we're going to get bombed. They want to keep people out of the country because of all these kinds of stories that are fed to them.
They do, and to be honest, it really does go back to the original point that we talked about with the lack of education. Studies show that the more education somebody has, the fewer irrational fears that they have. And it's no secret at all that all polls show that the majority of Republican base voters are the people who never went to college. They, probably didn't finish high school in some cases. So there really is, the Republicans know that you can sell this fear, these irrational fears, these unfounded fears to this base because they don't know any better. And that's the problem, is that this cycle just keeps perpetuating itself. What are we going to be afraid of today?